Go ahead.
We're going to do a pair of earrings with wrapped loop. I've chosen some very neutral beads. This is Scandinavian labradorite, which is has a sort of a brownie cast as well as the fluorescence on it. So, and I'm going to use a bead cap because it just looks so finished. And this is a Swarovski 5mm crystal, which is greige. The color is greige, which is a sort of a combination between beige and gray, so it's very neutral. And I always think that if you're using a ball pin, it's nice to finish at the top with a small silver bead because it just balances your composition. Now, we're going to make a wrapped loop. So the object here is to have a nice small round loop that is balanced on the top of the beads. You don't want a loop that's off to the side. You don't want a loop that's oval or long. What you want is a nice balanced round loop. When you're making earrings or when you're really doing anything in jewelry, what you should do is make the same movements and do the same things in the same order every single time. Number one, you don't forget what you're doing, and number two, your hands develop motor memory, and that will assist you in getting much faster and having a much neater, more professional finish. So the first job here, when we're doing a wrapped loop, you need a space to wrap into. So my first job is going to be to create that space. Now my round nose pliers, you can see that they are graduated, so I can pick any spot along this blade to mark my space. The only trick is that I have to remember where I did it so that I can make the other earring match. So I'm going to make my space. There we go. So I made sure that all my beads are packed down firmly, and I've placed my round nose pliers right at the top of the bead. Okay, now I'm going to just push the wire over towards me so that I get a 90-degree angle, see, like that. Now, my next job is to make the top of the loop, and I'm going to use my round nose pliers as a jig. So I want to have the round blade available to shape the loop. So I'm just going to shift my plier like that. Now notice here, I'm going to turn this so that you can see. Notice here that I have the blades tucked right in here against the wire. If I had it like this, I wouldn't get a round loop, I would get an elongated loop. So I'm tucked right in against the wire, and I've got the top blade of the pliers available to me. So I'm going to just push the wire away from me over the top, like that. So that gives me the nice round shape on the top. Now, I have to bring it around and do the bottom. If I were to just bring it around now, see this bottom one here? It's in the way, and I wouldn't get a nice round loop. So I'm just going to, again, shift my pliers up. And now I'm going to bring it around the bottom and towards the front of the pliers, and that's important because you want your wire to end up in the correct place. So I brought it around like that. Now this is what I have. I have a nice round loop with my wire sticking out like that. Now I'm going to do the wrap, and here's the secret. Most of the time when you see instructions for doing wrapped loops, they tell you to hold the loop and then wrap your wire around like this. Don't ever do that because that's how you get a mess. I'm going to tell you the Cadbury secret. So I'm going to take my smooth pliers so that I don't mar the loop, and I'm going to hold firmly across the loop like this with the wire sticking up and at the back. Okay? Now I'm going to take my pliers with grips on them so that I have lots of control. I'm going to grab my wire right at the very end. Now you see, I'm at the end of the pliers too, because if I had it like this, I wouldn't get my pliers past here. So There we go. I've got it right at the end. Now I'm going to bring that firmly down, and I'm pulling firmly, okay? Now I'm going to turn the whole project over like this so that the wire is sticking up at the top again, okay? Grab that little end again and bring it down firmly. Now when I turn it this time, see, I can see where I laid that wire down the first time, so I can now put it down exactly next to it. See that? It's easy when you know how. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it again. And people always ask me, how many times do I wrap? Well, the answer is, you wrap until your space is nearly filled, usually 2 to 3 times. If you're wrapping any more than that, you're probably creating too big a space for yourself. Now you see here, it's almost full, but there's a tiny little space there, and I need that space. So I'm going to stop now. And now I'm going to cut my wire as close as I can, but I can never get close enough. I'll never be able to get it in close enough. So I'm going to cut as close as I can. Okay, but see, I've got this little end sticking out here. I'm going to take the pliers with the grips because that gives me control. And I'm just going to take that little end there and I'm going to squeeze. And see, it just goes straight into that little tiny space that's left. Now look at my nice, beautiful loop. See how balanced it is and how neat the wrap is. So the secret basically is never, when you're wrapping, always pull the wire down. And the reason that you do that is that you're giving yourself control over the wire. The other secret is always only pull it down in front of you. Only lay the wire down in front where you can see where you're laying it down. And that is the secret to a lovely, neat wrap. So there's my little dangle done. Now I'm going to put it on the ear wire. So see here, there's a little space here. See, there's a join there. So I'm going to take my smooth pliers. I'm going to keep the join at 12 o'clock, put my smooth pliers at 3 o'clock. Now see, I've got my elbows resting here because I don't want to use my elbows or my shoulders. I'm only using my wrists. I'm going to twist forward. Just drop my little earring on. Now I'm going to twist close. Now, when you throw a baseball, you look where you want the baseball to go, and this works the same way. I know that I want that to close up firmly. I want that little end to go exactly where it was. So I'm looking there, and I'm going to make sure that when I twist this back, it ends up exactly where I want. Okay? There we go. That's finished now. So there's your finished earring.